And you're,
Man, always just starting on mute. That's okay.
it's
We
okay.
get back to back today. It's back to back, Robbie.
Back to back mutes, back to back calls,
Yes,
back to back
muting is
everything.
always my issue. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I just came off of a sales authentic self training course. So I feel like I'm very authentic right now.
What does it mean to come off this authentic sales call?
That was the whole point of the conversation was they were trying to define that. They were trying to put it in borders and it almost felt like we were crowdsourcing them answers, but people, what does it mean to be authentic? Have core values that you follow, and it comes into the conversation. He gave examples of like people that would be very compassionate, but they would come across as soft, sort of that way. I put being compassionate, being empathetic, just being who I am. I was, always squeeze a little lead with love in there instead of fear, that kind of stuff.
I love it. Okay. And so this did it solidify you more in this authentic moment, or did you feel it kind of gave you found more authenticity in yourself to use during these sales?
For me, the company is providing sales training for people that could be fresh out of college to people that are old grandparents like me that have 30 years. And so they'll say, hey, you may already have this framework, but we're just kind of refreshing. So I wouldn't come across and say, hey, I learned a bunch of stuff or it validated me as a human. It was cool to hear the company is putting what I believe is important, at least to me, as important enough to be put in front and center and do a training on. That's how I would say I took it.
Okay. Well, good. I feel like that is, I mean, coming out of it feeling good that way. Is this something
Yeah.
that's different? Has this happened before for you guys? Have you done this in a different capacity?
It seems like our company is pretty advanced in understanding that in a world. So I think we're private equity owned. So
Okay.
without giving away too secrets, we are owned by people that have found it very important to put a correct level of education into their people because people like Elon are introducing robots that can do most things. That's how I would say
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, it is. The world is changing very fast, which is also, to give a quick little update on everything that's going on here with Robbie's second lap around the world. This is our third interaction talking all things Robbie's second lap around the world. Robbie has completed his first lap around the world in steps. He's been tracking it for, I have this down now. You tell me if I'm right or wrong here. 7 years, 6 months, 15 days.
I don't actually know.
Oh, I thought that's what you told me last. I thought you told me last time 7 years, 6 months, 8 days. So I was like, oh, okay, good.
So my walk. So I'm a numbers guy. Remember, make fun of my math, but my original walk, because it wasn't my initial goal. Like it's a good example of how things in life you pivot, you alternate, you change direction. I wasn't originally doing the Fitbit to do the walk around the world, so there was 2 and change years where I was working on it, and then it ultimately took me 6 years, 7 months, and 8 days to get around the world.
Am I just so 6 years, 7 months, and 8 days? That's how long it took you to get around the world. I hear you.
Lap one,
Okay,
lap one, yes. And
lap one.
now I started July 2015. So in July 2025, I'll be at 10 years tracking.
Got it. And so wait, how many? So this is a. I want a mileage check-in. How many miles are we at right now, Robbie?
We are. I'm gonna put it into text a couple times yesterday. I think I'm just shy of 33,000.
Just
32
shy.
960, something like that.
Okay, got it.
Next week it'll
Right.
be 33. Next week it'll be 33,000.
33,000. I mean, that's an incredible goal to be achieving, which is great. So 32,960. That's as of today, which I think is pretty incredible. 33,000 miles is something. There was another goal that you wanted to achieve by July 15th, 2025. Is that true?
It's this goal. I have a, and this is not an ad to go to my social media, but I have a tweak that I'm giving away to somebody that guesses what my mileage is on my 10-year anniversary.
Got it.
There's been
Okay.
35,555. You can guess that's by a V-friend. There's some others that are throwing their different numbers out there, and I'm giving away a rare collectible that I have fond feelings for.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm just information gathering every single time we talk. I just want to keep racking these up, and obviously I'm writing some things down wrong, so I'm just getting this all corrected.
It's all good.
So I think we're all in a good spot. But yeah, so this is definitely a space we want to make sure that Robbie is giving everything out. He wanted to make sure that he can let everyone know about his first lap here. But a lot of things that I've decided that Robbie has so much to give around life, love, and business, all things. We actually talked last time about how to stay comfortable, the kind of shoes to be wearing, all those kind of things I thought were pretty interesting to think about there. But one thing I always think about you, Robbie, is like you're coming off this call right now. I think in business, I look up to you for what you deemed as, you said this. You said that you refer to yourself as a marriage counselor for Fortune 500 companies.
You got it right. Exactly.
What was the last challenge that you had to overcome with some of these companies?
Well, so I'll talk about one that'll remain nameless, but in most cases, what I do is cybersecurity. That role within organizations is called the Chief Information Security Officer, or CISO, as they will nickname themselves. And in most organizations, because we're selling a security software package, the CISO owns the budget and everything goes great. In one organization there are 4 different customers all within a customer with competing budgets, competing initiatives, and yet the ultimate goal, I still believe, should be to protect the organization from all outside threats, not protect the organization at all outside threats with the best negotiated settlement between 4 different organizations within an organization. I don't know if that all makes sense, but I just, you're working, and it makes a lot more sense if the guy at the top says, hey, this is what we do, versus, hey, everybody's got their own P&L, they've got their own reasons, and in some cases you've got people that are driven by different perspectives, like, hey, this is a compliance issue, or this is a checkbox, or this is a, hey, it's very passionate that we don't get any phishing attacks, that kind of thing. So you're just dealing with domesticated wild animals, and they're all on their own agenda, and then some are looking for advancement and some don't give a shit. So it's marriage counseling.
I was totally thinking of a different example, but I guess a good example in terms of what is going on and how you kind of pull things together. It's kind of like all these wild animals looking to feed themselves, but if they only work together, they'd be able to probably accomplish or maybe feed everyone even more efficiently and better, and kind of set up their all analogies around catching food, I think, could be coming up there. But it also sounds as if it's the same thing where, because I think like a lot of couples, and you are also someone to really look up to in terms of relationships. I love when you're sharing info, pictures, everything that's kind of going on in all things Robbie Love Life. And when I'm thinking about this, I don't know if you've ever been in relationship therapy before. I know I have with my wife. And some things I think that we're always looking to kind of do is making sure that we're on the same page and have the same goal. We want to achieve the same thing. Do you think that in business, when you're going through this, you're kind of bringing people together, that everyone has the same goal? Maybe they have different agendas within that goal, but do you feel as if they actually know the same the same end goal, or is that really hard in these Fortune 500 companies?
I don't think that they all have the same end goal. I think get back to they're all different individuals that are motivated by different things. Some people are motivated by a bonus because they're going to get something done by a certain time. Others are motivated because they like being a servant leader and they want to see all 10 of their people happy and at club. There are always going to be different reasons. I was recently successful in doing this with a company where I had to pull them all together. And one guy that I've been working with for 3 years, he called me. He's like, "I'm so excited, we got this spot." I'm like, "I had no idea you were even interested." Like, it's so broad what can happen. And anyways, I go down a rabbit hole. But yes, it's the same. I think obviously a relationship with your wife is different than your relationship with a CISO or a purchasing agent or somebody at the business. But at the same time, if you strip out the intimacy side of it or any of that, you know, romance novel stuff, trying to think of how to say it as a Gramps, um, it's still relationships between two people. It's still, and being an ugly human. I mean, that's why you look at these guys that I look up to that talk about interviewing skills and how do you figure out how you like people, how do you deal with people, and they look and they say, I look at all the soft skills. I look at how they treat the waiter at the dinner. I look at how they treat the person get on the airplane. I look at how they treat the normal people, and are they a good soul? Like, do they care to hold the door open for you? Just that kind of stuff that I don't know if we even focus on anymore.
Uh, well, I love that because I think that you really took it from business, and I know that you have so much to really teach us. My mind goes towards soft skills right now, and maybe it's more of this of our community aspect of hard skills, soft skills, everything kind of within the VFriends world. But they're not new. It's nothing like it's just someone took advantage of the actual names, put it with some characters, and put them out there for us to look at in a really cute way.
Right.
But when we're talking about soft skills and where you're at, and I want to almost like bring it back to some of your thoughts here with like lead with love. Because I think a lot of people in Fortune 500, they likely don't, that's not their first go-to. That's not their first thought. And yeah, I would also say in some cases, maybe, there's a time and place for some of these things, some soft skills and others. But what have you found to be, and I'm going to say two. I always love to bucket thoughts, right? 1, 2, 3, whatever, but two. What are two of the soft skills that you found that have been most beneficial that you think if someone younger would be listening to you, someone else that wants to be a project manager, someone else that wants to be a marriage counselor to Fortune 500 companies, what are two of the soft skills that you think are really important for someone to not just have innately, but they really have to learn about it more?
Perspective, and you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And I have to say those out loud because if I forget where I was, you'll be able to bring me back. So perspective, I think, is the biggest growth hack that I've gotten out of the last 10 years of listening to books and educating and trying to be a little bit smarter every day, realizing you can get 10 different people to watch a situation and get 10 different views of what they just saw. Being able to sit down, as I said, I have 10 different people on a Zoom call. They all work for the same customer, but they all have different questions. They all have different perspectives. They all have different needs. They all have different motivators. They all have different reasons to exist.
Hey
Purpose.
Robbie, can I just stop you for a second? Your environment right now looks so idyllic. Can you is this a farm next to you? This looks beautiful over here. Is it a
Golf
golf course?
course. Yeah,
Oh, nice.
golf
It's looking
course.
so nice right now. Beautiful.
It's my favorite place to walk through. It's between two major cities, and it's through some forests, and I get a little bit of trees.
Oh, it's a good spot. Sorry, I
Yeah.
broke you up. You were talking about perspective. You were saying that one of these soft skills was perspective as you kind of listen and everyone has these different ideas going on.
Yeah, and then you can break it down to, one of the ways that I kind of look at things. I guess the simplest example is you're sitting at a stoplight and you're in the right lane, and the right lane can either turn right or go straight. You're turning right, and the guy in front of you is going straight, and you want to honk, and you're upset, and you want to turn, and you need to go, and the guy in front of you is thinking about his sandwich. Like he has no idea. Like they're just somewhere else. So, thinking that everybody is thinking about you and thinking everybody is thinking the same thing you think is the worst thing that you can think. You want to go in and you want to realize that everybody can have their own perspective, which takes me into number two, which is the 2 ears, one mouth. Most people in the world, and I apologize if this is just regurgitated, but most people in this world listen to another person with the intent of how to respond. They don't listen to understand. They don't listen to feel. And if you don't listen to understand to feel, you can't apply empathy. You can't apply compassion. You can't apply understanding. You can't sit in the boat with them and help them to deal with what they're dealing with, right? That's the ultimate difference between wild animals and domesticated animals is we as domesticated are seeking that connection. So you go on to mute and I lose you and I don't get any feedback. And I know there's a loud noise in the background. So I appreciate both sides of it. But does that make sense?
No, it does. I definitely. I'm letting our ticker go and all our information go. But no, I think it definitely makes sense. I think the perspective thing. So is it gaining perspective, but also making sure that we're listening? Because that was the thing I think that you were really getting at. Is that
yeah,
you have to listen.
Listening with the intent to understand. Like listening so that you hear what is it that you're really looking for? What is it you're looking to understand? What is it you don't get? Back to when you talked about I've been through so much counseling. I think I could be a counselor. And I think, mirroring is one of those things that you'll hear me instinctually do from time to time, just to make sure that what you're saying and what I'm hearing are the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's the whole 2 ear thing. So please, the two things, listen with the understanding that most people probably aren't thinking the same way you are. So just you want to understand what they're thinking so you can, back to that whole soft skills thing, understand what their motivations are so you can bring them to the Paradise City with a different message to every individual if need be, to accomplish the goal, which is to have a satisfied customer.
That's awesome, man. And it's I think that many people are thinking what you said here is that people are thinking of the next thing to actually say, because there's so much that we have to read between the lines. And I think maybe it's in my world is that many people don't even know how to, well, that maybe that they're just challenged with actually putting their thoughts into words. Like this, for instance, again, bringing it into my world, which is kind of nutrition. I have a lot of people, and one person in particular, they recently said, I feel bloated after I eat X. And they mentioned a food. Right. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. Now, most of the time, I think that you can kind of hop on that food. This ended up being dairy in this moment, right? So they mentioned that they had some ice cream, whatever it was. But the fact is that like I was trying to figure out what they meant by bloated. Because the thing was, I was thinking, if we don't know what you mean by bloated, like where you feel, what's going on, we might now start to take out foods that are actually unnecessary to take out. So when I asked this person, I said, can you do me a favor and just make sure that you tell me what you actually mean by bloated? Where do you feel it? And they pointed to the bottom of their stomach, right? They pointed to the bottom of their stomach. And I said, okay, great. That's where you really start to, I'm sorry, I'm going to correct myself. They pointed to the top of their stomach, where they're like of their abdomen here, like where their actual stomach is. And I said, oh, that's really interesting. So you're saying that you feel bloated up here where your stomach is versus where a lot of bloating can happen, where it might be actually down within your intestines. Right. And so we started to talk through a little bit more. And the thing for them is I really found out that it wasn't so much bloating that they had. It wasn't gas. It wasn't like it wasn't anything, any issues. It was just regular digestion. And it was something that they had a really large meal and they were trying to kind of digest that as a normal kind of person. We talked through it and we really took out the word bloating. And we were able to help them really understand that they don't have any digestive issue. It's the fact that we have to reconnect with our body and understand how that actually feels, which is really something where I think a lot of people, they might be listening to the words that are coming out of their mouth, but I don't think that a lot of people actually take enough time and understand the perspective, just like you said, where now let's understand like where we are in this moment together. We might be saying all those words, but we have to just dig a little bit deeper. And I think that's probably where you are really good at things. And I think that even, I don't know if you would agree with this, but your walking is definitely something that I think gives you this time to actually reflect and think about these things and how to approach things differently, because you understand the long game, right? The long walk, the distance that you're putting in, because it takes so much more time to actually set aside to understand that. You have to be patient. So that's what I'm thinking when you say this.
I would say that I'm defragging my hard drive, but I'm not sure that most kids that are listening to this right now would understand what that term means.
That might be Robbie. I recently installed some RAM in one of my computers. I've never done that before. It was the most hardware I've ever done anything within a computer before. So I don't even know if I get it so much, but
it's so cool though, wasn't it, to do that?
It makes you feel like you know the world, like playing with a robot. Really, it's just random. It's easy.
I'm in the inside of someone's brain.
That's how it is. Well, that's some really good stuff on business. Again, we have business, we have love, we have all things, just making sure that we can kind of keep our body healthy as well. Robbie, I want to switch gears for a second, reset the room here, just and get like specifically into the walking aspects. I really enjoyed last week when we talked. I asked you how to really keep yourself healthy. We got into a discussion around shoes. You ended up telling us right now, and shout out to Fleet Feet, right?
Yep.
Where you go to get your shoes here. You told us that the Brooks Glycerin, the 21s, were the shoe of choice, and you've gone through many iterations of this.
Yes.
So we have a good idea on where to go for shoes, what shoes to get, but we need another tip on how to keep us healthy as we're walking.
I'm going to talk. Let me interrupt you. This is the be on the authentic part. So I'm interrupting you because my wife gave me a hard time because I didn't bring up underwear. Like, you're gonna be like, I'm gonna stop there. Underwear. So you don't realize that when you're walking 12 miles a day, that, and I'm doing it now, right? I'm wearing pants for the first time since you've met me. Almost probably literally. And when you walk 12 miles a day, the friction between your legs and your underwear with the shorts or pants or whatever you're wearing, it wears holes in your underwear. Like I have underwear that are disintegrated, like from wearing them when I'm walking. And so I rate my underwear now on how far I can walk before they fall apart. It's weird.
But I'm with you 100%. If I can put some perspective here for some people in terms of the walking, because it's more than you think. And obviously you can see these numbers and you're a numbers guy. But if someone told me it's going across in the ticker on the bottom here, but 32,960, that's where your steps are right now. There's also here, we know the Earth's circumference is at 24,902. Robbie corrected me, miles. But we know that Robbie is well over that right now. But Robbie had a goal of actually walking 175,000 steps in a week, and that's 84 miles per week. I just want to make sure that there's perspective here. So Robbie walking 84 miles per week. A lot of times if someone is going to be running a marathon, training for a marathon, because it's marathon training season, the New York City Marathon here is next month, a lot of people may be running 16 to 35 miles per week. So I just want to put into perspective for many people thinking about Robbie walking 84 miles per week versus someone who's training for a marathon 16 to 35 miles a week. So Robbie is really walking more than double the person that's going to be actually training for a marathon. So when we're talking about shoes or we're talking about underwear, I mean, I don't think it's weird. I don't think it's weird at all, Robbie. I think it's completely necessary to talk about that kind of stuff. Why though is it that your wife was so adamant about you making sure you talk about it?
I think she's my shopper. Like I would wear holy underwear. I would wear holy socks. I would wear a left sock on a right foot if I needed to, because, I didn't trim my toenails because I'm an old guy. Way more information you're looking for. But, I kind of talked about in my first, and she listened to the episode, which was very shocking. Hello, honey, if you're listening. She listened and she's like, She appreciated my Lieutenant Dan comment. You know, she knows that I change socks 3-4 times a day just to make sure I'm always taken care of. And then she was surprised that the next thing out of my mind wasn't about the underwear. So I'm just correcting the perspective that it wasn't like she freaked out. Hey, why didn't you talk about the underwear? She was just like, I just thought you would have gone to the underwear next. So
Okay, so this is where we're at. Remember when we were talking about shoes? A lot of times when we're looking at shoes, especially for runners, we might change our shoes 150 to 300 miles, right? Am I wrong here? No, it's what 150 to
350
miles, right? 350. Okay.
350.
So if we're if we're changing our shoes every 350 miles, how many miles do we get on a pair of underwear, Robbie?
I feel good when I get 6 months before they start to fall apart.
Okay.
So six times whatever that is, 6 months or 26 times 84. You can do the math. You'll have to do the math for me. So that's like a couple thousand miles. It sounds like
Wait, what was it again? You said 6 months times what?
6 months, which is 26 weeks times 84 miles a week.
We got over 2,000. So we have
Underwear that make
21.
it 2,000 miles are decent, but if you can get to 3,000 or 4,000 miles, that's a good pair of underwear.
That is a pretty good pair of underwear. So that's some good amount. We have Nacho over here in the chat. Nacho is pretty excited about this. He's mind blown.
Nice.
So, but yeah, you know what?
I got emotional when you started to talk about the numbers again. When you're trying to explain the enormity.
Yeah.
And you're talking about it, hey, you're talking about 84 miles a week, and that's impressive. But it was 84 miles a week for 3.5 years. You know how insane that sounds to me now? Sorry, I'm on the side of the road and they're doing construction. Hey guys.
No, it's all right. I have a loud class going on next to me. Yeah, no, it is. It is. I mean, I feel like you're saying it's insane, but
It's
obviously,
insane. What the hell was I thinking?
do you want it to be insane?
You know, I want it to actually be seen as a border case. I don't think that everybody should do 84 miles a week. I do believe there are people that would get value out of it. There are people that we have that are seen as the misfits and what have you. I think they just have too much energy and there could be value from it. But no, it's not for everybody. I'm doing something that I wanted to do to prove that we could do it. But I've reflected and we've had these conversations and I've looked at the 6 weeks of the VDads, Daily Dad walking contest. Shout out to all the other VDads and moms.
Yeah.
And we've gone through that. I've intensified my walking and I found myself relaxing about my walking. So there's been some guys that have taunted about distance and steps and hey, whatever. And I thought, hey, I can do 40,000 steps a day. I can go. It's like, yeah, but you don't need to do that. I mean, that's dumb. And so I've tempered it back to, and I feel very comfortable with about 10 miles a day instead of 12 miles a day as being something that feels good for me, where I'm not pushing it to the point where I could be causing myself to get hurt.
Sure, that makes sense.
Being hurt and walking is not fun.
Well, I think that also puts things in perspective too. I think that there's goals that we can achieve that are going to, understand. This is how I think about it. I'm always going to set some sort of mileage or a goal. I'm going to know that number that maybe I'm hitting, that I know maybe I could be doing more, but there's a reason I'm at that number. Maybe it's because I'm sick or something else is going on. So it's biofeedback. It's some sort of feedback to say, hey, something's up. Let's kind of double check on what's going on. I think there's an amount, whether it's mileage or something for business or whatever it is, to tell us like that. Yeah, we feel really good. I think that we're really optimal right now, and I think that there's that number that is like it. We know that we're reaching, and when we hit it, we can celebrate it. But it doesn't mean that we have to hit it every single time. So if it's going to be 12 miles, 10 miles per day, I think it's still a really good goal to be hitting there. Robbie, episode 3. We're at time right now. This is great.
Wow, didn't even feel like it. And I'm wearing a hoodie. It was so cool. I woke up this morning and it said it was 49 degrees, but feels like 39 degrees. And 2 days ago when I was walking, it was 93 degrees. So it's just way changing temperature. But I got to wear a hoodie. It was great.
It's comfy. It's seasonal. You're looking good in it too. So I think
Thanks.
that it's a win all around. Well, that's a wrap for episode number 3 with Robbie Mattson, Second Lap. But Robbie, you wanna sign us off?
Hey, I really appreciate you, Ryan, keeping me on task, staying focused, finding some appreciation for the conversation, and really just appreciate that anybody does take the time to listen. It all comes from lead with love, comes from trying to find something that's much more palatable than being driven by fear. So appreciate you. Love to everybody.
Awesome, guys. Take care. And Nacho, enjoy your walk. All right, guys. See you later.
Take
Bye.
care, Nacho. Bye.